All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to an edition of You Per Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. If you may have noticed, the table is insanely full of goodies, treats, and snacks. We'll talk about that here in a second. But first, we have a guest. Say hello.
Hello.
You Per Mama is with us. Homeschooling Mama is here celebrating. It's kind of an earlier video that'll drop. They'll definitely be disconjointed and out of order a little bit, but that's okay. So why are we here today?
What do you mean?
What is today? What is today?
Oh, today is Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday. We're doing a special Easter Sunday. My goal is to actually get this video published tonight. Before we get too far into things, what are we smoking? What are we drinking? So, lots of stuff actually. Oscar Valderas 2012 Maduro cigar. Quite delicious. What are you drinking, Mommy?
Well, right now I have coffee, which was Sasquatch.
Sasquatch from Black Rifle Coffee. Mm-hmm. And what is your alcoholic beverages?
I actually don't know. Truly Cherry? I've never tried that before.
Truly Cherry? Never tried that? What's the other one you have?
And this one you picked out. Old Smoky Mountain Strawberry and Cream. I can't.
You're fine. No, you're perfect. Strawberry and cream, perfect. I have the same strawberry and cream. And then we have Flamingo Fruit Fight Raspberry Ale. Sounded fun. And delicious Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. We have a smorgasbord. I'm going to pour my beer. I don't know if you want your beer right now. I recommend you pour it so you have it ready.
I might wait until I finish my coffee.
Wow, you better hurry up and finish that coffee because this will be the first time ever Homeschooling Mama has had a beer with me in one of these videos.
I've had wine with you, haven't
Nope,
I?
never.
Yes, I had a glass of wine during
Negative.
the video.
It sat there.
I'm sure I drank some wine. And I'm sure I drank a drink at one point.
Ooh, raspberry ale is on point. Usually you're talking, you don't drink, so.
Oh.
Ooh, wow.
This is why I don't drink in public.
She just spilled it everywhere.
At least it's the
Now she's
glass.
destroying the head on there. Maybe I should have given you the bigger glass.
Listen, I am obviously not as experienced.
I know,
in
it's a red letter day. So why are we drinking alcohol in these videos? If you haven't known, you probably didn't watch my last few. No judging, just saying.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I saw that you posted our CPL one.
Mm-hmm.
But I was part of that one, so I didn't feel like I needed to watch it.
Well, true story.
Yes.
But I've actually not been drinking any beers on the Monday night videos because it was Lent. So for those of you guys just tuning in, during Lent, your can's fine. During Lent, you normally do not, you give up stuff, you take up stuff. One of the big ones I talked about giving up is I gave up alcohol. Did okay with it. Might have had one or two slips here and there, but it happens for the most part. I only drank on Sunday.
And solemnity days.
And
I really
solemnity.
Appreciated the solemnity.
I did appreciate the solemnities. I actually had a whole video about solemnities. I had more than one beverage on one of the solemnities. The St. Joseph one, when I recorded a video. More than one, less than 10. So you could definitely tell it by listening to the video.
Did you listen to the video?
Mm-hmm. I did. Lots of grammatical and spoken errors, and I couldn't remember the word solemnity, so I actually had to cut the video out and then start it over again because I couldn't remember what that was, the word. It happens to all of us, I'm sure. Plus, I picked up exercising every day. I was doing really, really good until we got sick. And then I did some business travels, and then we went on spring break. And so my exercising every day fell off. I am hoping to pick that back up here now that things have mellowed out. And while I was exercising, I actually prayed the rosary. So do you want to talk about some of your asceticisms and sacrifices and that you picked up for Lent?
Well, I gave up alcohol, but that really doesn't count in my opinion because I don't drink a lot. So giving up alcohol is not even a stretch. That's not hard at all for me. But I don't drink, and I gave up pop a couple of years ago and never really picked it back up, so I couldn't really give up pop. Mm-hmm. I gave up sweets, which was a little challenging, but because I'd already kind of started like eating healthier and trying to diet, that kind of just went along with that. I took up trying to say the rosary in Latin, And I got pretty smooth at
You were
it, but
doing pretty
I
good.
didn't do an awesome job of doing it every night like I had planned. And I picked up Portuguese, so I started speaking Portuguese, which is not, if you know Spanish, learning Portuguese is really challenging because a lot of the words are spelled the same or very similarly, but they're pronounced different.
Right.
So it's tricky. But I've been working on Portuguese. I kind of fell off with spring break and everything because being out of the house and driving for 15 to 18 hours and 3 or 4 days. I think it was 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days.
It was just too much to try to keep up with. So I've kind of fallen off. I'll probably pick that back up starting tomorrow. I kind of took Tritium as a vacation from all of the extras.
I think next year if we do a trip, and it'll be a little bit easier because of extenuating circumstances this year, it might be fun. I did this when I went on a retreat where you just pray. You pray the rosary like 2 or 3 times while en route.
I did that while we were dropping Leonard off.
Okay.
Extenuating circumstances.
Extenuating circumstances were not there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, they kind of were.
They were, yeah, but they weren't.
Our teenager is learning how to drive, so when you're in the car, it's natural to pray.
Yeah, it's just natural to pray.
So that has been kind of my Lenten goal was to actually get him driving in clear weather because we've had some nasty weather most
Just
of the Lent.
big storms. We have snow on the ground in case you guys didn't are snowless. Most of you guys live in snowier areas who watch these videos.
We're getting like snow and then ice and then snow and then ice and then it'll clear up. And just as everything melts and the roads are beautiful to drive again, snow and then ice and then snow. So it hasn't been great weather, which I know some people say let your teen drive in the nastiest weather, which I agree with to an extent. But if they're really, really uncomfortable driving or nervous drivers, you're just setting them up for an accident or an issue.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I mean, we just had a big blizzard that dropped a foot of snow, a little more than a week ago now.
just barely, yeah, because when we got home, we couldn't actually make it all the way into the driveway.
We just got home literally a week ago.
1 week ago today.
And we had to baja it in.
Actually, a little less than a week ago because we got home late.
Okay.
8, 10 o'clock. So.
Fair.
So yeah, and we couldn't even get in the driveway, and our driveway was a mess for about 5 days. So everything's finally melting, and but regardless, our teen driver Vash man drove 2.5. Well, it took him 3 hours. He's kind of
Cautious.
He's a cautious, slower driver. So it took us 3 hours to get to Grandma's house to drop off our dog before our trip. And then we were actually going to go yesterday to pick up our dog, but Grandma and Grandpa got a little antsy, and they brought the dog to us. But he drove all the way there, and I didn't realize that part of his driver's ed never incorporated expressway driving. So when he merged onto the expressway, and you know how it's like 25, and it's a big turn, and then all of a sudden you have to gun it.
70.
And he didn't know to do that, and I was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't like. At first, I'm like yelling, like, hit the brake! You have to slow down! You have to slow down! And then I'm like, now you have to speed up!
Got it.
So, and it didn't occur to me that he had never experienced that because there really isn't an expressway like that here.
Yeah.
So I apologized to him on the drive home. Actually, I was like, oh my gosh, like it occurred to me then, like as I was driving home, I was like, oh, he's never done this.
Yeah,
so I apologized, explained how it should have been done or how to do it as I did it. But I started the drive home because it was like I didn't want him driving on the expressway again. So then we get back to the main, like, slower highway, I guess you'd call it, the U.S. highway. And I offered to let him drive, and he said, yeah, sure. And then before I found a place to pull over, because I was just going to go to the next town and pull over, he was sound asleep in the passenger seat. So I was like, yeah, no, not going to wake him up and ask him to drive, because when an experienced driver is groggy, you know, it's a little... But I did not want him groggy driving, so clearly he needed the rest because he slept almost the entire 2-hour drive home.
Yeah, he definitely was out of it from the sounds. I wasn't there, obviously. But
yeah, he was hyper-focused. Yeah. I'll say it that way. So, and then yesterday, Swedish Compass had her orientation. And so
Swedish Compass now has a JOB.
Yeah, so while she was at orientation, I took Bashman and we practiced driving in like residential areas and turning and smooth turning. And if you have a teen driver, you'll I'm sure understand how stressful that can be.
Yeah, your neck is all sorts of 6 ways to messed up right
and
now.
it's not that he drove awful, but I think I was just so tense having somebody inexperienced driving. But he's doing much, much better than the first time I got in the car. So anyway, that was one of my Lent things, was to try to get him driving, which I didn't do it as much as I had hoped, but I think I got in the car with him at least 6-7 hours.
Yeah, no shocker to Dad here, but he doesn't like learning from Dad how to drive. It's been a constant struggle. So Mom gets to teach him how to drive. Hopefully he can get over his little thing, because I'd like to teach him how to drive at 100 miles per hour, because that's just fun to do.
Well, around here, I don't know if other cities have it, but our police department, if you have your level 2 driver's license or level 3 and you're between a certain age, they actually have an offensive and defensive driving course that they offer to teens.
That's through the state police.
Yeah.
The state police post does a very nice. I've heard a lot of good things.
I've heard a lot of great things. Actually, a couple of the homeschool families we know, I think one of them, their husband is a straight trooper. So
I don't know if he's a trooper.
Not the one you know.
Okay.
But one of them, I believe her husband is one of the ones that puts on the driving course.
Oh, very good.
So, yeah, so that's really cool. So that was the other thing for Lent. I tried to pick up more prayer and more like cleaning. I did really, really good with scouring the houses.
You were doing really good. That app you downloaded was really seeming to help. I wish you'd have told me about it, that was kind of your Lenten thing and that was the app you're using, because I would have been more supportive in the beginning. At first, like, for the love of God, let's go to bed. I didn't know that was like... That was your Lent thing, so communicate that next time.
Yes.
It would have been a little smoother. Once you told me, I'm like, oh shit, okay, well.
Yeah, so scrubbing the house was like my Lenten thing, and I was trying to like cycle through different rooms every day. So I didn't want to do the whole house like on a weekend. I wanted to do like bathrooms 2 or 3 times a week. I wanted to do the laundry room once a week and cycle through the whole house, but really good cleaning everything. And I was doing really well, and then we got sick for, I don't know, 2 weeks.
It was at least a week where it was bad.
Yeah.
Because it was bad enough I didn't even, like, I put in, because I started exercising before Lent, so I'd put in like a solid, like, 30 days easy by the time we got sick. And, like, I wanted to exercise, but I knew I shouldn't. Actually, it was one of those moments.
I wanted to exercise. I kept trying to exercise. And then, like, I exercised for 2 or 3 days while I was sick, and I think that actually...
It probably made it worse.
Made it worse, because it took me forever to get better. I'm still, like, tired now, but that could just be from our trip, too.
Our trip did take a lot out of both of us. That's no joke there.
That was a long trip.
It was a long trip. So. I did explain the trip, I think, in this, where we went to Mall of America and a Comic-Con type thing. Or
in this current video, or in a previous video?
Previous video. Maybe, well, see, it's going to be kind of meta, because
it's in a different order.
I think it's the one that's going to release on Monday, and if all goes well, I'm going to release this one today on Easter. So
I see. So avoid talking about it?
No, you can talk about it. I don't care.
So anyway, so we, that was kind of what we did for Lent.
Yeah.
We tried to do the Grace Before Meals in Latin.
We tried that.
Did not hit it as hard as normal, as we normally would.
No, I'm not sure. I think that was more, we needed more aids in those little cards.
Well, and I think I didn't make those cards until 3/4 of the way. like.
It wasn't 3/4, but yeah, it was definitely a good solid quarter to halfway through.
Well, and I didn't know that was a thing until after, like, I think we were a week into Lent when I realized that was, like, we wanted to do that. So.
Well, it was kind of one of those, like, we thought about it, we talked about it, but...
Okay, but we were thrown off because I always let the kids do their Lent posters, and we didn't do Lent posters.
True.
And, like, that is, like, a thing. And then they post, so they do very decorative, like, what? 18 inches by 9 inches.
Oh, bigger than that.
It's like a half of a piece of construction, or a
poster board.
Poster board. Anyway, we make these big Lenten posters, and they have family resolutions like play more board games and do family movies or watch. Like this year, we were supposed to watch The Chosen and stuff like that. Learn prayers, and then they have individual ones that they put on the posters. And honestly, they keep their Lent posters. Like I'm pretty sure Vashman and Swedish Compass and Wild and Free Wolf, like they have their Lent posters from like years and years and years past. And this is the first year in probably 5 or 6 that we didn't do Lenten resolution posters.
Well, because we tried to do families just before you think we all slacked off. We tried to do family ones.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so hard. Like doing a family one, like where you have to rely on everybody else to do part of it. Like I think that was just, it didn't work as well for us.
Yeah. Agreed.
So definitely next year go back to
But
maybe them.
on board games, what was one of the accomplishments we did this weekend?
Oh, yes.
We kind of had the Irish traditional Saturday we learned about at church class. That's very traditional on the Saturday, Holy Saturday.
Yeah, Holy Saturday.
Is very traditional actually to clean your house, specifically your fireplace. This is a tradition I didn't know about. To be honest with you, I was half tempted after I learned about that. I want to get a bunch of candles for next year and ask Father if we can light a candle, take it home, and like see how long we can keep a candle burning. So the tradition is in Ireland, you clean out your hearth, your fireplace, clean it out, scrape it out. You don't leave a fire going. You build a fire, leave it. You then go to church. If you guys have been to Easter Vigil Mass, a beautiful, beautiful Mass, lasts for like 3 hours. But it starts outside the church. They light a big fire. The priests bless the fire. And then in Ireland, they'd have one male from each household would light a torch and beef-foot it home with a torch to light the hearth, to heat the home with. They'd keep it going all through Mass, actually. Their responsibility. And then throughout the year, if any of you guys know, this is, again, like almost 1800s, pre-1800s tradition. The fire never went out. Like, the cooking fire your house fire never went out. It was always burning. So basically you had the holy fire, the light of Christ actually burning in your house. I thought that was really neat. Like, that is such a cool tradition. I'm really tempted to get some really high quality candles, ones that last, quite a long time, and see how long we can keep it burning, because we can get candles that actually last for a few days.
You could get the votive candles. The problem is then you'd have to leave it lit when we're not home.
That's kind of my plan, is just see how long we can keep it. And I mean, it won't last more than a couple weeks, I'm guessing, so there'll probably be a legitimate reason why we're like, okay, blow it out, or okay, this is getting expensive, let it go out. Maybe see if we can keep it lit until Pentecost, which is the 50-day celebration after Lent, because now after Easter, I think it's 50.
I thought it was 40.
Actually, I think it's 80, because I think it's double what Easter is.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's a time, so after Easter comes, actually, in the Catholic faith, is a time of celebration, actually. You're supposed to celebrate, you're supposed to get together and have parties and dinners and get-togethers to celebrate that Jesus has risen. So I think it'd be fun to at least just like see if we can keep a candle going that whole time. I mean, we don't necessarily, I don't know, it's something logistically to look at, but 100-hour candles are not that expensive anymore, right now at least. So it might be fun, see if we can keep a quote-unquote eternal flame going. Might be fun. It's just something I was thinking about when the priest was teaching that in church class. So, but yes, we had our cleaning of the closets. We found out we have a ton of board games. We do have a ton of video games too.
We knew we had quite a few board games.
Yeah,
but
you're all like, they'll all fit in the linen closet. I'm like, okay. When we were in Kinross, yes, they all fit in the linen closet.
Well, I think they would. some of the boxes are a little unwieldy because they're like odd shaped or really long or really tall. Because you can stand them up like books, and then they stand on end. They take up a lot less space. They're a lot more accessible because you can pull them in and out rather than having to move a stack to access them. And so you could add another shelf easily in the closet that they're in right now. And that would hold a lot more. So, I mean, I think the 2 linen closets would actually hold the board games. They were all stored in our youngest daughter's closet.
Who has an epic freaking closet for the youngest daughter.
Yeah, she's got a smaller bedroom, but a very big closet. And I would love to get all of the games out of there because then she could store her toys on the shelves where she can access them. She's kind of a tidier, wanting to put everything in its own space.
If you guys hear explosions in the background, we have pop bottles that need to be returned that keep expanding.
So, I mean, I would like to be able to let her have those shelves as like her toy storage, and then just use the upper shelves in her closet for linens, like, you know, the big blankets and stuff.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, the kids had gotten loose in her closet, I guess, and there were clothes.
Well, the
blankets,
kids got lazy too. So between trips, when we grabbed sleeping bags or cots, instead of putting them genteelly away, they just got hucked in there.
Yeah, so it got to the point where, like, you'd open the door and, you know, the classic avalanche of a kid's closet would come out. But she had never really been allowed to go in her closet.
Yeah,
so
she was very particular, except for the dresses, which then she hung up again. Like, she is actually, of all our children,
she's kind of like
probably
Vashman,
the most,
like,
the most meticulous. I mean, Vashman stuff is pretty everywhere, but he's kind of a hoarder and likes to keep little, like, nicks and bobs, and where our youngest likes to, she doesn't mind throwing shit out.
Oh, she does.
Well, but they, like, if it's not important to her, it goes.
Yeah, so anyway, her closet was like, you couldn't get in there, but meanwhile, there's probably easily 100 to 200 board games and card games in there.
And there's some of those games that were given to us that we should just throw out.
And some of them are nostalgic. Like, I have the original Risk board game that my parents had when I was a kid growing up. That's probably from the 60s, 70s. But I don't want to get rid of it. You know.
Well, we have like 2 sets of Boggle. We've never played
3.
Boggle.
I found a third one.
Did you find a third one?
So we have 3 sets of Boggle. We have 2 sets of Scattergories, which that's kind of a fun game.
That's a fun game, and that's okay.
We have like 4 different, maybe it's 5 different versions of Monopoly.
Yeah. But we do play those ones. So
do.
I don't slight that one. I mean, we have a few different modes of Risk.
Yeah, we have, but usually they're not the same game. Like, we have Risk that has different rules, like Mission Risk versus other Risk, and we play those. And then we have like 2 different versions of Operation.
Yeah.
And so some of them make sense. Candyland, I've never loved Candyland as a game, and we have 2 versions of Candyland.
But Candyland has saved us with the 2 youngest, because they do like playing that, and that's something the older kids can muddle
even
through.
The 2 of them can play together.
They can play by themselves. There's the Murder, She Wrote game, which I know that came from the farm. And
no, that was one of my games from
was Murder. I thought Murder, She Wrote came from the farm.
No. And I can't find the game of Life. We have Life on the Farm, which we
Life
bought.
on the Farm, which we
but
bought.
I thought we had the original Life game, and I didn't find that in there.
That's probably in the classroom closet.
That could be in the classroom closet. So we have games that, like, we've played. We have games that we have basically never played. I found another Baker Street game.
I saw that one.
And I don't remember buying that.
Not a clue. I'm wondering if someone gave that to us or something.
I'm wondering if one of the guys came and just put it in a game closet.
Right.
So we have some games that we play regularly. We have some games that are like annually, like this is for like Risk is our New Year's Eve tradition.
I mentioned it. It's worth mentioning again. So we have an exchange student. Everyone knows that. He was really kind of excited about New Year's, which is cool because that's actually one of the holidays our kids really get excited about. We play Risk, which is usually we play electronic because it's kind of like, okay, we're done with it. This year we played board. Sometimes we play board, but it
kind of depends on the year. We go back
It really
and forth.
does. It goes back and forth. Well, he was laughing, so we asked what his New Year's tradition. Like, what do you do? He's like, I'm really surprised. He's like, in New Year's, so it's like Carnival. Like, it's a huge celebration. Everyone gets up, but everyone wears, like, white. And it's supposed to be, like, peaceful. We're going to come in love and peace. Yeah. And then, like, he's like, well, what do you guys do? I'm like, well, we simulate war by conquering the world for New Year's. He's like, oh, this is so American. It's so, like, he's like, that makes complete sense. Like, okay, to be fair, we're most people do not play Risk.
But the reason you play Risk is because it's such a long game.
It's such a long...
and you're trying to stay up anyway, usually. Yeah. So you start it at 4 or 5 o'clock after dinner, and you just play until, midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
And we could play Monopoly, but you hate Monopoly.
I don't hate it, but yeah, it's not my favorite game by any stretch of the imagination.
You hate Monopoly. You despise
So I don't love Monopoly. So anyway, we decide we're going to play Risk. And I don't think you played.
I did not. I sat out.
You sat out. Because honestly, Risk, like, we have a 9. And even though the 2 younger don't play, that's still 7.
That's 7.
And the Risk game is really, most of them only make for 5 to 6 players.
Yep.
So, and Vashman, I don't believe he played. I don't think he had any interest.
Didn't he? I thought he did. I thought he started playing.
Swedish Compass started, and Wild and Free Wolf started, and Swedish Compass was out quick. She was out within the first hour or so, and
well, Fairy Dancer actually almost swept.
Fairy Dancer almost swept, then weakened herself, and then lost a bunch of territory. So actually, like, I think it was the 4th or 5th of January when we actually put the game away.
I just put it away.
Yeah, we kept it out for like 3 or 4 days, and we actually played it for, 7 to 10 hours between the days at least. But, so it was left with me, our exchange student, and Fairy Dancer, which is pretty impressive when you know that Fairy Dancer is 9 years old, and that was her first time playing the actual physical board game, I believe, of Risk.
Physical board game, yes. And even that may be her first time actually playing, like...
She played the electronic version.
I think she's always been teamed with someone.
I don't think so. Not on the Steam one.
Oh, the Steam one, yes. But I was talking about... The Steam one's kind of a light version, but yes.
When we've played the PlayStation version in the past, I think she still had her own. But maybe not. So, anyway... It took 2 or 3 days, and we just, like, it was like a stalemate almost.
It was.
So I have pictures of our exchange student, like, staring at the board, because he makes a strategy, and usually he has a very good strategy. But his strategies are meant for him to have one turn, then the next turn, then the next turn. So when you have to take turns, and his strategy gets, like,
kind of falls apart when he loses that key country.
Yeah, as soon as, like, somebody else's turn.
Once he lost Kamchatka, it was done.
Kamchatka. That was Swedish Compass.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for him, and it was funny though, and it was a great experience. He actually said he wanted to play again before he goes home.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things he wants to buy before he goes home, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist
in Brazil. So. We have not played that during Lent, though.
I mean, it just leads to fighting, honestly.
It's fun.
Well, and he would take, like, detailed photos of the board because stuff gets knocked around. And
and it was in our kitchen, so people knock into things. So we actually did take pictures of the board when we quit each time, so that we could make sure that it got reset to the way it should have. But when you have, like, some of the lands had, like, 30 soldiers on it, that gets hard even. So it was fun though. Mm-hmm. And then we also took up Catan for the first time. That was during Christmas time, New Year's. I got it for Christmas.
You got it for Christmas.
And I wanted to play it.
I don't know if we played during Christmas or if it was just after.
If it
was like in January. I want to say it was in January we started playing that.
I think it was before. Anyway, we all fell in love with Catan, though. I think everybody likes Catan.
Well, Catan really is the boiled. It's
kind of
Risk
like
light.
Risk, kind of like, yeah.
I actually got so bad. We the kids during farmers market want to get a 3D printer because they at the video game convention there were a lot of 3D printer stuff, so their brains were just a rolling.
One of the things we saw that you could print, that was really stream of consciousness that jumped from one to the other.
That's how we do these videos. But, well, what brought it up is because while we were at the Mall of America, there was a board game store that we might have spent $1 or $2 at.
James Games?
Games by James. Games by James. And they had a ceramic Catan board, which was epic. It was $300.
Beautiful.
Beautiful board. And I almost bought it. I almost bought it behind your back, and it was going to be your Easter gift. But I was really glad when today you actually admitted that you were.
Oh, I like it. I think it's
But
beautiful,
it
but
would have been a waste of money.
Ceramic for our family.
Yeah. But yeah, on the 3D printer pivot, they actually have a free plan for printing off your own Catan board, which I think is going to be a thing. I think once they get their printer, we learn how to use it. I think that's one of the first things we're going to have them print, and then I'm going to make them paint it. So it looks all fancy. Which I think painting actually, again, pivoting, why not? We actually have quite a few good artists when it comes to paintings. Ooh, excuse me. So I think actually that's usually one of the big things when you buy 3D printed crap. Usually it's rough. In the raw, they call it, where it's just right off the printer. I think our kids could actually do a pretty good job of like sanding it, making it look good, and then.
But I think that's going to be like their winter stuff. Like I think that's we're going to take these to craft shows and stuff. Because I think they might sell some during the summer.
I think they'll sell. I think what we'll do probably for the summer is sell practical stuff that in the raw, it's fine. Like there's no big deal having it in the raw, and then this winter. Print off specific stuff that then they are charged
So
with
if they
finishing.
make a Catan board, can they sell it?
Yes. 100%, because they made it. And they are not making the cards. They're not making the rules. They're just making pieces.
So somebody would have to have the
Someone would have to have the cards. They'd have to have the rules. I wouldn't sell the pieces like the one printable we saw where it had the houses, the roads, instead of a thief, they had a dragon. Again, I think that's for copyright purposes. And I think that's perfectly fine because someone would actually have had to have bought the board itself, and then they can then use that to make their board
more engaging.
More engaging. Now, if they went and made the exact same cards, put it in a box, called it Catan. Now, if you call it Catan accessories, they're fine. Augmentation for Catan, or just set it up, people know what it is. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
Because those were pretty cool. Like, and I do want one, obviously. But that is something that they could probably eventually sell to.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, I don't know how we got from like A to C to J.
Oh, I know, and I can
that was a
rewind
really big stream of
the
consciousness.
video for you. That's what these are. That's what it's all about. I mean, we're half an hour in. You barely touched your beer, so.
I'm sorry. I will
start shotgunning now. We better do the shot here in a second.
I can't shotgun this. It's gonna be bubbly.
It's not gonna be that bubbly. You like bubbles, though. You made me get you a bubbler, a Soda Stream.
I like my Soda
has
Stream.
appeared.
Actually, I did not make you get that. That was a birthday
Mother's
Day gift.
Birthday. It was a birthday gift. It was a.
But admittedly, I've been able to drink water.
You have, and before that, we were buying you cases of bubbly.
Yep.
And that was getting pricey. And it was getting kind of, what do they call that? Flavor boredom? I forget the term is, where you basically, tedious. I mean, you could only buy so many flavors, and half of them you didn't like because it was all the peach fuzzy nipple crap, and whatever they call it, I don't know.
I think it's peach. I think the other thing you were referencing was fuzzy navel.
They had some. They had like peach dream, grapefruit, and they had a couple others. Like, why? Why even make these? No one likes.
What gets me is when they have cherry and then black cherry.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's like. But anyway, I'm not sure where you want to hop off on that.
No, you can hop wherever you want. I mean, we're on the 3D printing. We're on Farmers Market. The kids, got a good lesson in economics actually with our spring break trip. I don't think I mentioned this in the video coming up here, but so we the spring break trip 100%. This is their money.
They picked the location.
They picked the location. They picked where they wanted to go. Pretty much, they had freedom to buy whatever they want. I mean, it was. We gave them a general dollar amount they should try and stay under. Now, some did, some didn't. But it was, this is your money, guys. So you spend what you want. They budgeted about $3,000. They actually did pretty good. They only came in at like $3,200. So
well, and not everything has, because we did return a couple things and we had an issue with hotels.
We had an issue with hotels. We're waiting for refunds on. So I mean, they'll be pretty damn close to $3,000.
And it would have been quite a bit cheaper, but we did have to rent 2 vehicles and.
Well, that was factored into their.
That was.
This is how much it's going to cost. They knew that going into it.
I more mean if we did the trip again.
Oh, I'm talking about current. I mean, if we do the trip again, we definitely have some savings in there and better planning. But it was interesting. I mean, Swedish Compass especially was just. She took an economics class. I was Dave Ramsey based one.
What was that called? Dave Ramsey of. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember the actual name of it, but she talked about. She's like, I didn't think I'd ever have buyer's remorse, but here I am. Like, we went on this epic trip, and
before she even bought anything.
Before we even went, and we told her it was gonna be about $3,000, and it would cost. I mean, that's about a summer's worth of farmers market gross profit, which we were giving them gross profit because we were gonna kick in a little bit for their trip too. This isn't just them, but. Yeah, it hit a lot of them. Vash man was very he was told he had $100 and he's like, all right, I have $37 left. I'm gonna buy this. I have $28 left. Okay, and I think he even told me we're driving home. He's like, I still have $15 left, Dad. I was like, okay, great. He's like, well, when we get home, I want to buy something for $15. I'm like, well, unfortunately, that was vacation only spending. So he's kind of, but I have $15 left. So.
But nothing was as funny as, so we drive home, and we got home later Sunday, and we decided to make dinner after we got home. Mm-hmm. And so I ran to the store to grab stuff for dinner, and Swedish Compass is like, we're home. And I said, yep, we're home. She's like, that means it's no longer on
our bill.
It's no longer on my bill, right? Like, this is
stopped for dinner on the road, we would have paid for that. But since we're home, this is now on Mom and Dad's dime. Yes. So
it was quite funny. But yes, they understood then, like, oh my gosh, this was actually kind of expensive. And we explained the price. So they wanted to go to Nickelodeon Universe, and they wanted to go to Sea Life, which is I think a subsidiary of SeaWorld.
I'm guessing a subsidiary of.
And so they wanted to do all this stuff. And so first we researched how much all the tickets were going to be. And honestly, it was going to be a lot more expensive. But because we were such a large group, we were able to, I reached out to them and asked about the group rates. And they did say that we could get the group rates. So we did that, which was kind of it saved a ton of money.
Tons of money, because it was $200 for the Nickelodeon World. It was $250 for 9 of us.
Well, for 15 tickets.
For 15 tickets, yeah, because it was $15 a ticket for 15 tickets. It was like $250.
It was $256 with tax.
With tax, but you look at if we would have bought each 9 of us a
regular price,
so they were $50 a piece. So you're looking at $450 without even breaking a sweat before tax.
Yeah.
I did share that, but we can share it again. It was just hilarious. We pulled a Youper on some walk up. There's a nicer couple. They had 3 kids, mom and a dad, and we had 6 extra tickets. So I pulled the Youper thing. I mean, I don't know who these people are. I've never met them in my life, nor will I probably ever meet them. And we're like, hey, here's some free tickets. And they totally, I guess one of them even said, he's like, I heard him say they're just going to throw them in the garbage. They just didn't trust that this wasn't a scam. They're looking for video cameras to see if this is you know, so a lot of YouTubers do that. They buy tickets and then give them away to get people's reactions. And, you know, it wasn't, we didn't take any credit for, except for in these videos, which all 5 of you are you know, going to hear twice now. So, it was just neat. It was neat to see their reaction. It was funny for me. It definitely made them feel awkward. The dad tried to pay me, I don't know how many times, and I left because I'm like, here, Merry Christmas. I think I heard him try to pay you then. He's like, well, can I give you like $50?
No, but he did ask the kids. He's like, is this for real? And so we were going into Nickelodeon Universe with our bracelets, because you get bracelets. And they were limited to 3 hours because we got the 3-hour bracelets rather than, I think if we go again, we should get longer
I don't know,
times
3 hours,
maybe.
they were definitely...
But they didn't get to, like, 4 hours, and they would have probably made it on every ride they
4 hours, they've been vomiting.
The younger ones.
Yeah.
So anyway, so maybe next time get the longer bracelets. And had I known, so if you get Nickelodeon Universe as a group rate, then you can actually get your tickets for the other places at the mall, the Mirror Mazes and stuff like that at the same time, and you get a discount on all of those as well. So if you're going and you have a large group of 10 to 15 people, it saves you money to go and look at group rates, school rates, for every place. And that's just in general. Look for family rates or group rates.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the look on their face was hilarious.
Oh, it's
like,
just
that
priceless.
was comical.
That made my trip, to be honest with you, just to see.
But the kids were so excited because, like, we had told them we were going to have 6 extra tickets and, you know, asked them what they wanted to do with the tickets, and they said they wanted to give them away. Like, that was their, like, 100% from the start. They just wanted to give them away and give them to somebody else, because they could have gone and then gone again, like gone for the additional 3 hours.
I don't think they could have. I think they had a hard end date on all of them.
That same day, but they could have gone for 3 more hours
I don't
afterwards.
think so. I mean, we can try that next time maybe, but yeah, they were.
Well, they could have. That's actually.
They did. They did want to just give them away.
Yeah,
which was cool.
that was their initial, like, we want to give them away. So I had told them, hey, if you see a family or anything of about 6 people, and they all kind of gravitated on the same family.
Well, there was only one. We got there right as it opened.
We did,
I mean,
and most of the families were like one parent or
yeah.
one kid or
it was grandma with a kid.
yeah.
Most of them.
So it was one of the only families we saw, and yeah, the kids were so excited to be able to give them away, and I know that they all were watching for the family.
Yeah,
Wild
Wild
and
and Free
Free.
Wolf did actually see them and say, yeah, no, they used them. That she, and I believe her again. She's the one who can. She's very observant with that crap. So.
But that was pretty cool.
That was cool. That was. I mean, just to make the guy feel super awkward was awesome. That was just. Because it is. I mean, you should.
Well,
it's
we
bizarre.
have that happening to us all the time.
We do have that quite a bit, but it's just funny how, and that's one of our biggest complaints about Minneapolis and Wisconsin, nonetheless, how they are, they're Midwest, but they're not UP. Like, they're Midwest, they're used to snow, but there's a lot of assholes and a lot.
They were
of,
not
like,
nice people.
yeah,
Like, there were
not
some
nice
people we ran into who were very nice. And Swedish Compass was talking about that. Like, there were people who were very friendly and almost like more like they seemed overly friendly because of how like unfriendly so many people were.
Yeah.
Like, the lady who did the girls' ears was very good.
Very good.
Very friendly.
Claire's on the first floor. I don't remember the lady's name. She has tattoos everywhere. If you ever go to Mall of America, lots of piercings, lots of tattoos. That's how I knew I could trust her with my daughters, because she knows her way around a needle, let's say.
I was gonna say, like, her contamination technique was beautiful. Like, she was.
Yeah, that was perfect.
If she touched
Infection
anything with her
control.
glove, she took it off and threw it out. She was really good. And, like, very understanding, because our 4-year-old got cold feet after watching her sisters get her ears done and did not want, like, it was I really, really, really want my ears pierced, but I really don't want to see these little things go into my ears. Like, I really don't want it to hurt, and I don't want to be jabbed with little needles. And she kind of had, like, a whole mini breakdown in the store. And I'm not the kind that is going to force anybody to do that. Like, I would not force her. Even if I went all the way there for her ears piercing alone, I would not have forced her to do it. And so, like, the lady was like kept her paperwork in case she changed her mind anytime between, you know, that the rest of the day and the next day. And she's like, well, if she changes her mind, just come on in.
Yeah.
And we did. We went in. We walked through a couple other stores, and I talked to her about it. And you know, our 4.5-year-old was like, no, I really want it done. And then our 9-year-old was like, no, it only hurt for a second. It doesn't really even hurt now. It's almost like gone.
I still don't believe in hitting them twice.
Hitting them twice.
Yeah, because they did the 4-year-old. They fired both
at the same
one.
time.
I just.
That's a lot of people do that. But we did watch Swedish Compass when she got hers pierced, and like she was like ready to run out of the chair and down the street.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing.
So, and that was
even
years
Fairy
ago.
Dancer was a little like, what did I do?
What did I sign on for? Yeah. So like I understand why they do both sides, but
yeah,
it does seem like painful. But anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Claire's was very good.
Claire's was really good. Just in case it wasn't mentioned, the reason we went to Claire's is because there is nowhere in the UP pretty much who will do it.
And we've tried multiple places.
Tattoo parlors, we've tried jewelry stores.
And there's some places who will do it, but there's only one person on staff who's never available. There. Or there's a few places that won't do it unless the child is 13 and can give consent, which neither of our daughters are, even though they definitely have been, they've been asking for 3 years.
There was that one tattoo parlor, I was like, I'm not taking my kid in. I mean, they were the pros. We got recommended by like 6-10 people, but when the first 4 tattoos you see are busty, what do they call them, pinup girls. So I'm like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, so we have been looking for about 2 years to try to find a place.
Easily.
And a lot of the people just won't do it until the child can say, like, give in their opinion.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but at the same time it
makes it hard when you have a child who's actually like, this is what they want. They're very firm in that.
They're very specific. That's what they wanted. So
yeah. So anyway, we did that at Mall of America. They still love their earrings. So
they're still doing great. They're keeping them clean. No signs of infection or
which is
irritation.
Quite a switch from the last 2 piercings that we had, where like they had infections. And
not true infections. They had irritations. I'm not going to say infections. Now, to be completely honest, the type of earring Dad could afford to buy, the starter earring for the first 2, was very basic. The one these 2 got, Fairy Dancer and our youngest, Dad might have spent an extra dime or 2.
They were the same.
No, they were.
They didn't offer any
2 to
other.
3
like,
times
those
more
were
expensive.
So the price has gone up, but they were actually the same brand.
No, I actually talked to the lady and she said these are going to be like 2 times expensive, but they're really good. I highly recommend them.
Wow.
They have unicorns. They're unicorn. I don't know. They're not.
It's just a unicorn picture.
It's a stud, but it's a picture. Yeah, it's a bigger earring because like the girls, the first 2 got like little tiny studs that.
Rosalind's was the same.
Oh. You did it.
Hers were the same size, but they were because they were. I could still see them. They were that My Little Pony, the Twilight Sparkle. Because at the time she was all about.
They still were on the cheaper end. If you.
I didn't think they had a cheaper end when we were there.
Yeah, they had a much cheaper end.
No, I mean this time.
This time, yeah.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I didn't think they did.
We could have gotten it. The earrings would have cost $20. This time, the earrings cost $40.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they.
I didn't think they had
there
a
was
cheaper,
a cheaper
one because I was
option.
surprised. I was like, really? Like, I did not think it was quite that
There was a
expensive.
cheaper option, but talking to the lady, I don't know if you were there. I think you were chasing down our youngest boy. I was talking with her, and she's like, they do have these stainless steel studs. But honestly, if I was a responsible father, like you look like you are with 6 kids, I would definitely go with. And I said, you think so? She's like, the only thing that's better is to get the gold or platinum ones. Let's go with these ones. I'm not pinching pennies on this trip because it wasn't my money. But at the same time, let's just say that Fairy Dancer definitely blew her entire $100 budget on this one store.
Between the other
she
earrings
she got a bunch of other earrings. She got some. Well, to be fair, our youngest also put her purchase. She got some fake nails.
Yeah.
Which whatever. So I mean, it was a thing. It was okay though. I was,
I'm not. I'm not disappointed. Their ears are doing really, really well. And with the other girls, I actually had to be the one to clean them 3 times a day, and I was really meticulous and careful. And they still had a lot of buildup and a lot of issues, and they still do now. Like if they wear certain earrings, they still get sensitivities. But these two, like, they're doing their cleaning themselves, which admittedly they're a little bit older than the other two were. They're doing the cleaning themselves. They're like, and
they're reminding us, so they are keeping. They're mindful.
Yeah, and they were told 3 times a day, so they use meal times as their reminder, which is good because they still touch their ears as they eat. So this is, they're wiping anything off. But it's interesting how, like, they had to wait 2.5 years to get their ears pierced, so they are much more meticulous than I think the other two.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you don't eat those Reese's, I'm definitely gonna.
I'll take them. You leave them alone.
I'll show you no.
See, he takes my food all the time.
Yeah, I mean we're almost an hour in, and you haven't touched one.
Fine,
so.
I will take one. Well, this may give you. This is peer pressure.
This is peer pressure. This is
a good thing. It's Easter Sunday, and I don't have to I'm not dieting today.
Right, and we're not gonna step on the scale tomorrow. That's for damn sure. On Easter dinner, I do want to mention this. We, I think I mentioned the hog in these videos. We bought a pig.
From a family that homeschools.
From a family that homeschools. It was a little bit more expensive. Now, granted, I did request some very...
I was going to say, part of that's you.
Part of that's me. I did request some very good, I don't want to say cuts, but processing of the meat.
You had a lot of smoked.
A lot of smoked meat. So I'm kind of excited. We have a ham and a picnic ham that are upstairs right now, percolating. Yeah, that's I'm excited about trying that out because it's been pretty good. I think I mentioned I hate pork. I'm not a pork fan. Growing up, my family raised pigs, especially during my formative years, and that was meat for the year. We usually had 2 to 3 pigs. And where everyone else was like, oh man, you get pork chops tonight? I'm like, yeah, I get pork chops tonight. I think I requested like only 9 pork chops. We have 9 pork chops out of all the chops you can get. The rest are all loins and hams and quite a bit of ground. It's a little more expensive, but it has actually, I will admit, the bacon is delicious. Mm-hmm. The sausage, the ground is on point. If you guys have ever cooked and saved some of the fat and whatnot, it solidifies into one solid chunk. There is no like the drebs and whatnot when you get some of the store-bought stuff where there's the fat layer and the liquid layer. Vash Man was cleaning out when I cooked up some of the sausage and we drained off the grease. And he's like, well, I got to be ready to just run this bag out because it'll be that liquid in the bottom. He went to go pull it out. It came out one hunk, and that was it. There was nothing left in the grease bowl. That was almost like I was half tempted to tell him, okay, put that in a bag and we'll store that as lard because that was delicious. So I'm looking forward to our hams, see if those are holding up. Those might redeem the price a little bit. So, yeah, we got Easter dinner coming up here soon. I think I mentioned we're shooting this more early. This is not nighttime. This is 5 o'clock our time actually right now. So, but yeah, pretty good. Lenten season, Easter, spring break. We covered that all. 3D printer. We're talking a little bit about summer. We have 100 jars upstairs, ready to be
made into
jam. We got to go purchase some more berries.
And pectin.
And another 25 pounds of pectin. That's just crazy. So yeah. But anyways, it's kind of a good lull period. Are you ready to sign up? Anything else you want to talk about? We can keep going if you want.
You said you wanted to talk about spring, but I think we don't have
we talked about spring. We talked about...
you didn't talk about your starters or tomatoes.
Yeah, you can save all that. That stuff we can save. That's not a big deal. Chickens. We do have chicks. I don't hear the cheeping in the background.
You probably can't hear them yet. We have 16 chicks right now.
Yep. We wanted to replace our 12 with 16 somehow. I don't know how that happened.
Don't complain.
I ain't complain.
You walked away and you left
on this, we're going to sign off, Yeah, we have quite a few chickens. which is good. Our current ones are waning a little bit, and they're laying.
Yeah, I've had a couple people suggest we keep 2 or 3 of them that are brooders and let them brood.
Brood them out. I'm
But
not interested.
I would like to try that eventually.
Reasons.
I would try to like let them control the eggs.
No, I'm good with that. But all right, I think we're kind of winding down here. We got to go finish our Easter dinner and finish our beverages. We did not get to our shots. I guess we'll save those for tonight and do a little celebratory shot.
I told you had kind of a
It was a smorgasbord, and
huge
yeah,
selection.
I knew we weren't going to get through all of it, but I thought we'd try. So anyway, folks, happy Easter. This video will be posting late, but it will be posting, and hope everyone's staying safe out there. Hope you had a good holiday, and we'll see you on the next one.